Good evening, everybody. This is April Payne with April Miller Coaching. And yeah, I'm quitting. Have you ever said that? Like, have you ever said that to yourself? Said that to somebody? I listened to a podcast not too long ago, and it was so fabulous that I had to share it. And then I'll give you the reference for that podcast at the end of my video. I'm also going to be posting this video on my YouTube channel and also on my IGTV channel, which is connected to Instagram, if you guys didn't know about that already. IGTV is like YouTube, but it's Instagram connected, which is really cool. So I want to talk to you about quitting. And I know a lot of us have quit before. When I was listening to this other podcast, the speaker was talking about how they used to quit as a child. They had very nice parents because when she would say, well, I really don't want to do this, her parents would be like, okay, that's fine, not a problem. And so she was allowed to quit and she was given grace by her parents. But as she grew into adulthood, she realized she had no follow through. And I was thinking about that for myself. And, I kind of grew up the opposite. I had follow through. My parents raised me with a really good work ethic. They taught me if I am going to say I'm going to do something, I need to follow through with that. That included anything as a child. So if I was going to do dance, I had to commit to that. And what did that commitment look like? Well, at least for a couple of months to see if I liked it. They would not allow me to just do it for a week and then stop. And because of that, I have really, really strong work ethics. And with my full-time job as a teacher, it used to be hard for me to get away from the classroom because I would keep working. Because when you're a teacher, honestly, nothing is ever done. But then with other certain things, it was kind of interesting because I wouldn't start something because I was afraid of the expectation of follow through. So I actually had that different perspective where, okay, if someone asked me to do something and I wasn't so sure about it, like, should I even start it? Because then I'm going to have to do that follow through. That expectation is going to be so high because I was raised upon that. That happened with, job responsibilities, leadership, leadership invites. It's also happened with fitness, nutrition. I mean, like all of it. I always had a hard time starting because I didn't want to be a quitter. So what I want to talk to you guys about is when you start something, you want to focus on the finish and don't be afraid to start. You want to recognize why, though. Recognize why you're quitting. So what I want you to do, I see a whole bunch of people online right now. I see Heidi and Todd and Radonna and Jolene and Sonia and whole bunch of people. I just saw you guys all pop on. Thank you for joining me. But I want you to identify one thing that you need to finish, something that you keep quitting on or you have recently quit, but something that you need to finish. And I want you to say it out loud to yourself. When we say it out loud to ourselves, we give ourselves accountability. When we just keep it in our heads, it's not so much. When you say it to somebody else, it gives you accountability as well. But say it to yourself. Say it out loud to yourself. Even if you're in the car, you're in the bathroom listening to me, wherever you're at, say it out loud to yourself and make yourself accountable. Because what happens when we don't follow through with something, it holds over us and it causes us stress. Stress that we don't need to have there, right? Sorry, I keep looking over at my notes because I made some awesome notes with this podcast. So here are some strategies in order to stop the quitting. So the first one is to be more selective about what you decide to start. So a lot of us are yes people. And the speaker on this podcast was like, oh yeah, I'm from the Midwest. And we always said yes, 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 yes. But you want to be selective. If you really think that, you can do it, then totally commit to it. If you have any doubts, just say, no, thank you, not right now. And that's okay. And be okay with saying that. When we say yes too often, and I've done that too, is that we have so much on our plate, we don't have time for anything else. When you're figuring out if you want to start something, when somebody asks you to do something, or you want to start on a project or something, ask yourself, will your interest be there 6 months from now? You have to pick the right time, because if your interest isn't going to be there 6 months from now, probably isn't the right time to start something like this. Like I said, if people are asking you to do something and you're not so sure, just say, I'll get back to you. Don't answer them. Just say, I'll get back to you. That way you can have that time to think and decide if this is the right time for you and if that interest is going to be there in the next 6 months. Another strategy is to set smaller milestones. So for example, some people, they tell me, oh my gosh, I want to lose 100 pounds, which is a great milestone. I think that's a great end result, but set smaller milestones such as 10 pounds, 5 pounds, just little pieces, little sections, to break down that huge milestone, because a lot of the times when we see that huge result, such as I want to lose 100 pounds, that can be very overwhelming to us. You can lose interest so fast. So set those small milestones. Pick a milestone that's doable because it'll make you feel better. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of tough love. And I know I'm speaking to some of my followers out there, people that are on this live right now. I want you to tell you to stop. I want to tell you to stop jumping. And you know who you are that sit there and jump from one thing to another. I've seen it all before. You get overly excited, you tell everyone about it, and then you get distracted and you do something different. And then you just say that wasn't for me. I know a couple of people that have done this. They have had great intentions with the business. They've jumped into it head first. They're like, yes, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm starting. I'm so excited. And they get people on board. But then all of a sudden, it's like shiny object, right? And they jump over and they do something else. So pretty soon this business is gone and they say, well, that wasn't for me, or it didn't work, when they haven't really given it a chance, and they jump over to another business. And then pretty soon another shiny object, they're going to jump to that third business. You've got to stop jumping, because it's not that it doesn't work. It's because you haven't put in that full commitment. You've got to put that full commitment to give it time to figure out if that's something that you want to do. For example, I'm going to give you another quick story. When I first started losing weight, let me take that back. When I first saw this program, I was like, I'm not going to do another diet. I'm done. I've done everything. I've done the pills. I've done wraps. I've done drinks. I've done specific diet things, and it never worked for me. And I gave it a chance. I spent, oh my gosh, one of them, I spent like $300. I've not shared that with anybody yet, but I did. I spent $300 freaking dollars on something that didn't even work. Oh my gosh, like what was I thinking? I never lost any weight and I never lost any inches. So this next thing, I was like, there's no way I'm going to fork out money for it. But I was like, well, this sounds pretty good though. And I had a list of non-negotiables. I had a list of red flags in case they said anything about it or I read anything about it. And they never said anything that I didn't agree with. So then I thought, shit, well, I guess I'll try, but I'm going to commit for these 3 weeks and I have to do this right. That way, if it doesn't work, I can for sure say I committed and it didn't work, because that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to say it didn't work. I wanted to jump, but it worked. 15 inches, off in 3 weeks, it worked. So I couldn't jump. So you've got to commit yourself. You've got to stop jumping. This happens with jobs. I know adults who jump from job to job. You got to stop. With their health, home-based businesses, like I just talked to you about, you've got to commit to finishing. That's where you have to be selective in what you decide to do. And you must give someone permission to call your ass out. So if you're committing to something, say it out loud, even share it with your partner, share it with a family member, share it with a friend, and have them call you out. Have them ask you, did you finish that? Did you finish that? That will help you stay on track. And you have to put your blinders on. You have to. When I talked about the shiny objects, if you're focused on something, you've got to put those blinders on. When I commit myself to my business every morning, I put those blinders on. I hear you guys dinging back for a message. Do you notice that I don't respond right away? I will, but I'm focused on what I need to get done at the time. I don't check my email. I don't go look up other videos to watch. I have to focus on what I'm doing. So you have to put your blinders on. I want to say though that you people, and you know who you are, that are jumpers, you are very creative. You're so creative, but you've got to commit and follow through so that that creativity can come out. When you find yourself being distracted from what you're supposed to be focused on, you need to reel yourself back in. Be mindful about that and define your finish. What is your finish? Be very specific with that. I don't know. I see a lot of people on here that have jumped on. Do I have any perfectionists out there? I'm a perfectionist. Are you guys a perfectionist? You can give me a thumbs up, give me a 1, give me a smiley face. I'm a total perfectionist. We want everything perfect, don't we? We want it to be perfect before we go on to the next thing. People that are perfectionists, we are usually, we get this from being raised by a critical parent, or we've had success around us, which causes self-imposed criticism. Because if we're raised with somebody that had lots of success around us, we feel that pressure, and then you get that self-imposed criticism where you think you're not doing as good or good enough as the person in your household that is having success. Myself, I was actually raised with a critical parent, and that's how I'm a perfectionist now. Nothing was ever good enough. Nothing was ever right. Or maybe it was, but it was perceived as and told to me that it wasn't good enough. Well, why didn't you do this? Well, you could have done that. Well, you could have done this. I even hear it now as an adult. I'm able to handle it better, but that's where my perfectionism comes from. So don't be afraid to be a little messy. And as a perfectionist, that's something that we need to realize. It's okay to be a little messy. We don't have to be perfect. Be messy so we focus enough to get to our finish line. And just think about getting 1% better. And I'm speaking to myself with this too. Just think about getting 1% better and you're going to be making progress. That's all you need. So when you have ideas, write them down. Thoughts on paper are better than on your phone. I know we have our phones and we get our phones out and we start, typing in whatever our things are. But if we write them out, there's a correlation between small motor skills and our brain, which we're going to remember it. We see it, we're doing it, we're saying it, and we're going to be remembering and focusing more on that. So thoughts on paper are a lot better. And the last thing I want to tell everybody, and thank you for joining me tonight, is to adopt and take action. No more quitting. No more quitting. So I'm going to go through the strategies just real briefly one more time. I want you guys, quitters, that's me too, we would need to be more selective about what we decide to start. Think about if we can commit to that and be happy still 6 months from now on. Set those smaller milestones so we don't feel so overwhelmed, and stop jumping. Stop jumping. So anyways, I hope this helps you guys out for not quitting. Please, like I said, adopt these strategies, take action on it. I would love to hear how share your story with me. Is there something that you have not finished yet, that you are committed to finishing now, that you are going to focus on? Is there something that we're kind of deciding whether or not to start, and maybe you've decided to start it or not start it? I want to hear from you. Message me, type in the comments, and thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time.